Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course, the best medicine of them all. Reflect on cherished memories. Remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course, discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grow with Portia. For starters, everyone, if you don't remember who I am, I'm Portia Booker. I am your host and founder. And don't forget, please, to like, share, and subscribe to keep with the latest and greatest of all with Grow with Portia. So, you guys, one of the things that I often get asked is, Portia, how do you do it? How do you keep a smile on your face despite all the loss that you've had, despite all of the pivots and shifts in your career? How do you do it? And one of the things that I love to tell people is that gratitude is my superpower. Gratitude is that life jacket that keeps you afloat during seasons of adversity, during seasons of grief. And it really helps you to shift your mindset and perspective on life if you adopt an attitude of gratitude. So today, everybody, I have the honor of having Miss Janine Powell Reid, who also shares that same superpower.
Yes.
She is the founder of Jones House of Refuge, and she is one of those individuals who, like me, keeps that smile on her face despite all the obstacles that she's been through. So welcome, Janine, to Grew with Portia. How are you today?
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Portia, for having me.
Janine, I remember first shout out to Lisa Council for introducing
Yes.
us.
Woo.
Because when I heard your story while producing her show, those of you who know her show is called Shift Self Healing Ignites Flourishing
Yes.
Transformation. And I was reminded of the importance of making the best of everything, despite all of the things that we may go through. And so, Janine, for starters, what are you grateful for today? I mean, you just radiate in positivity anyway. So what are you grateful for today?
Today, I am grateful for having a sound mind. I am so grateful for my sound mind and my peace. And my peace.
Oh, so you can say that again, because that's for a whole nother, that's a whole series we could talk about, is
Yes.
your peace
Yes.
in the world. There's so much, if you want to call it, turmoil and everything that wants to fight for your attention, whether it's social media, the billboards outside, the people that are, you know, walking chickens with shoestrings. True story. That's something I saw, but that's a whole nother story for another day, Janine. Janine, one of the things that I recall you mentioning on Lisa's podcast is that in 1990, you were a victim of a gunshot wound to your head. And
Yes.
from that, you were left paralyzed from the neck down. And I'm
Yes.
curious, Janine, for our audience who's tuning in, can you walk us back through that day of what you can remember?
I remember it all. Portia, I remember every inch of that day. And the story is I had gotten married in 1989. And my then husband was in the military. And so he was stationed in Germany. And so because I had a government job and, you know, housing and all that stuff, I was like, I'm not moving to Germany for 6 months. So he was returning. The end of his tour was in 6 months. And so when he when that 6 months was up, he came back to the States, and then we got stationed in Fort Ord, California. And so he left me here, so to speak, and then went to go get everything in order. Well, later to find out everything was in order. He just wasn't telling me. Moving forward, some friends gave me a going away party. And at that party, um, some people that I know very closely got into an altercation with some people. some people that were there. And about 3 a.m., I was leaving the party. The party was over, but the people came back for the other people, so to speak. And so I'm like there in the middle, standing at my car. And when I looked up, I saw them. And then I looked over there and I saw them. And then after that, all I saw was sparks of fire. And I had been hit in the head. So falling to the ground in my own pool of blood, all I could remember was repenting and telling God, it ain't time for me to go. I haven't had children. I just got married. And I begged him that I would do his will if he let me live. And even to this day, God continues to remind me, look, girl, remember what you told me on 9990 at 3 a.m. in the morning when the paramedics was cutting your sweatsuit and you told them don't cut your sweatsuit because you was going to wear it again? I meant that. And so being um, what do you call it, medevac to PG County Hospital. What is it, Prince George's Community Hospital or something like that? PG Hospital was what it was called. And they just recently tore it down, and I was like, wow. But I remember getting out of that helicopter and going in and waiting maybe about 3.5 hours for a surgeon to come in from John Hopkins. I remember my grandmother, like my entire family, like the hospital was lit, okay? But I just remember them talking to me and, just staying positive and, just saying, you're going to make it through this. Um, I stayed in ICU for about a week and they were saying like they didn't know if I was going to make it. Because the bullet hit my crania, that bone exploded. And so a lot of the paralysis was caused by them trying to get those fragments. I still have fragments in my head to this day. I'm not able to receive MRIs. I can only do the CAT scans, which a lot of times do not detect what they're looking for. Um, but I got moved the second week to a regular room, and then the week after that, um, I was moved to NRH, National Rehabilitation Hospital, that's over there in DC, across from Washington Hospital Center. And they were very, very new. And so it was the top of the line. Like I thought I was gonna be laid back looking at the soap operas. They were like, no, sis, this is listen, this is business. So I had to get up, learn how to get dressed with the help of porters that came to get me, but it was like routine. But I was in the hospital for about 6 months total. After my regular insurance ran out, they moved me over to Walter Reed, because I was a military spouse at the time. So that Champus, they were like, listen, you got to move over here. But total time was 6 months. And then I returned home, not knowing what I was going to do, but I had my job. And so I was like, I got to go back to work. And so one of my colleagues volunteered to pick me up, and take me to work. But honey, I just tell you that people who don't understand disability or have the system down pat, she left part of my wheelchair on the sidewalk one day, and I was like, this ain't gonna work. So I need to get my own car. I need to get back in the swing of things. So and become, independent and self-sufficient. So I mean, and I was very grateful that she was, willing to come and get me, but it became too much. Um, so I finally got back in the swing of things and returned to work, and it was different. It was difficult. Um, learning how to walk again, walking with a cane, start with the wheelchair, then a cane, and then, you know, typing with one hand, just adjusting to this new person. Um, and I got through it. I was a customer service specialist at the Office of Personnel Management. And so I got back into the swing of things, and a lot of things triggered me. It made me very nervous, very paranoid, just always watching my back. So it was a lot that came with it. But I soared on through my career up until 2021. I retired. And even in the middle of all of that, I did different things. I became a licensed hairstylist. I never forget going to the hair school and they were looking like, whose hair she gonna do limping on one side? Couldn't keep them out my chair on Saturdays, okay? So
Right. Don't put a clamp on my regime just because you don't
listen,
think that I'm able.
people have been doing it to me for a long time, and it's okay. But this is, God said, let his light shine that man may be drawn unto him. It ain't even about me. He just used me. I'm over asking God why after 30 plus years, okay? He said,
Okay.
because I said so.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it's been a long journey, Portia, but I just remember that day so clear. It was so clear. I still remember it. I mean, I did I played a part in a movie when violence is all you know. And so my segment was to just tell my testimony about this same thing. And they all laughed when I told the paramedics to not cut my sweatsuit because I was going to wear it again. I meant that, it was brand new. Like, how you gonna cut my sweatsuit? And that was the funniest part of the movie, but that was I knew then, listen, I'm going to still live. Like, don't go cutting up my stuff. So I'm just really grateful for life itself. I wouldn't be who I am and would have not accomplished some of the things that I desire to do in life. Um, I'm just grateful. That's all I
Yeah.
can say, Portia.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful. And the journey continues.
It does. I mean, it does, right? And
Yeah.
Janine, I think about this was in the 90s. And I hate to say it, this was before I was even thought of.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so when I think about all of these years later, I'm curious, Janine, what was the shift for you to learn how to integrate the grief of who you thought you were going to be and who you are today, as you have to
Mhm,
still work with some of the challenges and obstacles
mhm.
from that incident in the 90s?
Portia, I would say that the shift for me was, girl, you gotta make it happen. Because nobody is gonna make it happen. Portia, two failed marriages, that first one and then the second one. Um, Dealing with mental health, you know, was a big one. And so, as I said before, mental health wasn't cute back then. They say, you gonna send you to the crazy. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm going to send you to, wait a minute, Portia, I'm sorry. They say, I'm send you to the crazy house and St. Elizabeth and, things like that. That wasn't cute. But now, it's a trend. You better have a therapist. Yes, I'm going to see my therapist. Yes, girl, I got to call you back. I'm about to get on the line with my therapist. And that's real talk. And so, the shift was just knowing that I had to change. Um, it wasn't cool in the beginning because I had that woe is me syndrome a little bit. Like, why did this have to happen to me? I'm a good person. Um, but as time grew, and as I developed my relationship or began to develop my relationship with God, only through God you can see who you are and who He called you to be. I cannot go through this interview and say, oh, it was all me. No, it was God that changed my life. It was the word. The word, the word comes to cleanse us and to make us whole. Not preaching no sermon or nothing like that, but I gotta honestly say it was God. It was worship music in my car, and it was a lot of crying, and it was just a lot of um self-reflecting. And it seemed like every time I thought I had one thing in order, then God was showing me something else. I need you to clean up that little smart mouth, and He's still working on me with that, you know. But it's all good, you know, it's all good. Like, It's just a daily process every day. If you let God, He'll show you. I need you to fix this and I need you to fix that. God, it's always something, you know? But that was the shift for me when I got my relationship with God and began to work on me, began to understand it's not always other people. Sometimes it was me, I was the problem because it was
Mm,
hard to make that shift. And learning to be free. God says, Whom the Son sets free is free indeed. You got to get freed up in your mind. And once you get free, you could talk about all these things that happen. But as long
okay.
as we just keep on covering it up, we put a little layer, a little band aid on it. But guess what? Eventually, that band aid going to get old and it's going to come off. And so you back dealing with it again. You better deal with it or it's going to keep resurfacing. And so a lot of things I had to get in order. It took me a long time, Portia. I'm 60. I'll be 60 in December. And sometimes I'll be like, 60? I have to ask my 60? I was 24 when I got shot. So it's been a long time.
Well,
A long time.
Janine, I love how in the beginning you brought up being grateful for peace, right? And how you recognized that it wasn't always everybody else who was the problem.
It was
Sometimes
me.
all them fingers that we be pointing, we got to take a look at. There's more
Mm-hmm.
pointing back at us. And
Mm-hmm.
you also
Mm-hmm.
brought up the mental health piece because I think, let's be realistic,
Yes.
especially in communities of color, mental health is still highly stigmatized,
Yes.
underutilized,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
still deemed as I don't need a therapist or any type of mental health uh help. And I'm curious, Janine, for our audience who's tuning in,
Mm-hmm.
what can you say to someone today who may be resistant about really getting that help, silencing that stigma um, inner critic, and recognizing too that, hey, I'm the problem and that's okay, but we can fix it.
That's right. We can fix it. So, what I would say to that is, it's funny that you're asking me that. So, even after I retired in 2021 and was inflicted with a disease called transverse myelitis from the COVID vaccine,
Mm,
um, I got set back a little bit. But through that journey, 2 years ago, I told my husband, I need to work. And he was like, girl. And so I got online, got on Indeed, and looked up, some different jobs. And then I found this one particular job. And the position was called a rehab specialist. And I began to read, um, the duties and responsibilities. And so I was like, I could do that. So, Portia, I went on, submitted my resume, got a call a couple of days later, got hired in the interview. And when I got there, um, I was elated because I was able to help people that had mental illness. And so um, I just resigned last Sunday. My last day was Thursday because God wants me to move forward in the things that He needs me to really finish. Um, and with that being said, every every client that I encountered, I ensured that therapy, psychiatry, because your psychiatrist is the one who prescribes your medication. I don't do medication, don't do no medication. But I set them up. I made sure of that. Like, that was my ultimate goal. Like, do you have a therapist? If not, you have to get one. And so, unbelievable. There's so many resources out here. Like, I'm in Montgomery County, and I tell you, it's something on not every corner, but in the surrounding areas. So many resources. And as long as you have some health insurance, and if you don't, go get you some Medicaid. Don't be too proud. Get it so that you can get the service, utilize the services that you need for your mental health. So many programs out here. So I would say if you don't have a therapist, look into it. Even if you have these federal government health benefit plans, turn your card over. They have special departments for mental health. Call them. It's just that simple. And even if you need it for your spouse or your family, they allow sessions for that too. So, and even now, Portia, I'm seeing on like on social media sites um where they have these telehealth therapists. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't even have to leave out of your house. They
Okay.
accept all insurances. It's if you don't get therapy, you won't be healed. And if you don't get therapy, it's going to be because you didn't want it. You didn't want to be better. You don't want the truth.
Oh,
You don't want
that
those
part.
masks to come off. Take the mask. God afforded me an opportunity to teach group, at least every other day, at least 3 times a week. And I felt so honored to do that, but I didn't play with it. I looked up psychosocial um, group studies. I would pull things out of books. And when we came to group, I ain't played with them. We not getting ready to put on TED Talk. Janine getting ready to talk from some real life experiences. And I'm telling you, they enjoyed my group. And guess what? Before group, I used to tell them, listen, I'm not the smartest one in the bunch. And when you are, you better find you another bunch. But I'm here to learn and grow from you all too. And so we just made it fun. And I tell them, and at the end of my group session, we would go around the room and they had to tell me one thing that they got out of group. And that was the highlight of me going to work. It was so fulfilling. But just unfortunate, it was time to go. It was time to go. So, Portia, the shift was get you a therapist, okay? Get you a
Well, and letting
therapist.
go of that pride. I mean, you brought it up. A lot of us have a ton of pride
Yes,
about asking for help, utilizing resources. Because I mean, you said it, there's therapies everywhere. I mean, you can just do a Google search, right? And
yes,
you've got 988. If you don't feel like calling 988, you can text 741 741. And I'm sure that they'll
yes,
connect you with
yes.
people, in your
Mm-hmm.
area or virtually, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes,
And,
yes.
Janine, for our audience,
Okay.
who's tuning in. I'm sure that there's people that are going to want to connect with you and
Okay.
learn more about you. Please
Yes.
share with us how they can do that, whether it's a website or social
Okay.
media.
Okay. So let me be clear because I was all turned around the last. I'm human. Listen, and sometimes laugh at yourself. Okay. Be real. Laugh at yourself. That's healing. So, okay. So you can reach me. My phone number is area code 202-847-9220. You can call or text. My website is www.joneshousedc.com. Okay. Uh, and my email address is joneshouse underscore 732 at yahoo.com.
Excellent. So those of you who want to connect with Janine, you can. And so,
Yes,
Janine, for our audience also who's tuning in, like I mentioned in the beginning, you are the founder of Jones House of
yes,
Refuge. Please
yes.
share with us a little bit about that and if there's any upcoming events or how people can get involved with Jones House of Refuge.
Okay, awesome. So, Jones House of Refuge was a vision that God gave me around 2000, around 2000. And so, I really wasn't taking it serious. And I wrote it down. I always tell people I'm a big journaling girl, so I write stuff written down everywhere. Um, and just, I just kept seeing it and I kept seeing it. And then, God says in his word, listen, if you don't let the rocks cry out. So if you're not going to do it, he'll pass the baton. He will. And so I didn't want that opportunity to pass. So, fast forward, um, I got the 501c3 established. Um, and I did everything that I needed to do, logo, all that stuff, business plan, everything. So I got Jones House going. And so it's a transitional home for women, for one woman with one child. We know women have a lot of children, but when you got five and six and seven or more, no shade, my program probably wouldn't benefit you because I have designed like a rigorous um, training program to give them the tools, the tips, and the education that they need to get started and to have a better quality of life from resume writing and entrepreneurship and how to, establish a bank account and maintain, your funds, just touching on a little bit of everything, financial literacy, um, raising your children is another one. Um, uh, so many, so many. If you can go to the website and read about it, but just trying to give them um, some skill sets that would help them be better in life. Um, and the program initially was going to run 18 months, but I realized that that's too long because the goal is to get them in, service them, not service them, but serve them, and then allow other people to come in and get that same opportunity. So 8 months, 18 months, I realized that was too long. And I learned that from working where I just resigned from. No, it's a 10-day program. You got to get in, get it, and get on out of here, and allow other people to get that opportunity as well. So, right now, some of the doors are not open, but we're looking for funding. We're looking for grant writers. We're looking for all of that to get started, to get these doors open. Um, my goal is to have like an apartment building, um, where they can have their own apartment and manage their children, not children, their child, be able to just to study. I had a vision where I wanted to have some desks built into the wall so that those back in the day, I don't know what you call them, but you pull it down, it's in the wall. It's like those beds that's in the wall.
Yeah, like
But
the
anyway,
tables that would pull
yes,
down and
exactly.
yeah.
Yes. And so so that they can learn how to write a letter, respond to someone, how to handle business over the phone. I used to tell the clients at the center, um, don't go to no phone making no business call and you don't have pen and paper. How you gonna remember who you talked to and what time you talked to them if you need to call that back? So it's just so many things I have in store for them. And right now, because the doors are not open and I'm feeling a whole lot better, Jones House is embarking on a book bag drive. And so we're going back in the community where my son went to elementary school and they were so happy. So open house on the 19th and the 20th of August. I'll be presenting book bags to that school that my son went to. And so if anyone is interested in donating book bags and supplies, and these are for primary grades. So we don't have to worry about calculators and a whole laptop and all those things, right? We just need some 50-cent crayons from the Walmart and composition notebooks and pencils and things like that. Hand sanitizer and tissues. Um, so, um, yeah, I'm putting out a flyer this week for that. But feel free to call me if you want to make a donation or go to the website. We haven't put the flyer on there just yet, but it will be coming up this week. So that's what we got going on for right now. And then the later months, October, November, and December, we're definitely going to do something for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and breast cancer awareness in October.
Excellent.
But
So
that's it.
for our audience, definitely if you want to get a hold of Janine, support Jones House of Refuge, the children that
Please.
are going back to school, you can call
Mhm.
her, and we'll also have the phone number and email and website in the show notes so people
Yes.
can connect with you, Janine. Well,
Yes.
everybody, that was Miss Janine Powell Reid that you heard from on Group
Woo.
Portia. And that concludes another episode here. And everybody, don't forget, I'll see you next time. And peace and hair grease, everyone.
Yes. Bye. Thank you, Portia.